Free socks.
The NHL playoff picture is still up in the air, but here in Winnipeg, fans are confident the arena will echo with the sound of white noise again.
Free socks.
Let's go! Go, Jets, go!
Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome back to the landing strip presented by From Financial. And I was just talking with Ozzy today, not necessarily about some hockey stuff, but we're really grinding down on a segment. Mikey, we're going to figure this out to get the audience all pumped up, some different talking points in here. And there's many talking points in this one as the Winnipeg Jets end their 3-game losing streak with a win over the Nashville Predators, who continue to spiral after the big spends this summer. Mikey, I gotta let you know ahead of time here. I know you know, but I'll let the crowd know just for some comments and whatnot. I missed the first half of this game, studying for a work exam before throwing on for the second half. Only saw like the key big plays and was listening to the game for the first half. Second half, quite a bit going on, and I caught that whole thing. So anything for the first half, Mikey, I'm going to have to direct your way. But let's get you in here. Mikey, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. You know, like all great things in life, this game was full of ups and downs, and there's a lot to talk about. So can't wait to do it. Can't wait to get into it with everybody in the chat. But I think there's something even more important that we can't wait to get to. Am I right?
Yes, and we're going to give this guy a shout-out that keeps asking for it over on Twitch. JPix29. Remember when you wished him a happy birthday?
That's
right. We
right.
got trolled on that. But rumor is this is a Winnipeg Jets game day JPix29 birthday sack squirtle to get the vibes going here. Happy birthday, JPix. And let's give him what he wants. He's asking for it over on Twitch. Hey, even in a game like that where it wasn't the prettiest, it's hard not to get up and feel good about the old sack squirtle and the beat we're listening to there. Spency does not want a shout out on YouTube, so we won't give him one there. Give him a little extra. Mikey, how did this game start? Because, like I said, I missed this start. I was seeing some tweets kind of trying to figure out what the flow of the game was looking like, and it looked like another slow start before a little bang bang. What were you seeing in this one?
So yeah, in a game where Scott Arniel in the pregame specifically said we can't come out slow, we can't come out behind. It looked like we were going to get another game where the Jets were going to come out and be outshot heavily, maybe even fall behind in the score sheet early. Yeah, those first, and it wasn't very long. It was only the first maybe, 4 or 5 minutes of the game. But for those first 4 or 5 minutes, it was looking a little rough. They were being outshot 4-1 at one point. It was just not great. And you're like, oh, God, here we go again. But very quickly, the Jets woke up. They got their sea legs. It didn't take very long. And, they decided to show Nashville again that they're just in two different leagues at the moment.
And nice to see who gets this one started off. Obviously, we've gotten pretty hard on the fourth line and the lack of production as of late that the Jets have gone from them. It seems like when Chibrikov got sent down, I'm wondering if that group got a little motivated, as they've kind of given you a little bit more of what we were seeing from them earlier in this year when they were able to push the game forward a little bit. We see David Gustafsson go win that puck in that corner, get it up to Ville Heinola, who fires it to the net. And Kupari and Barron were just like, someone was going to shove in that garbage at some point. Morgan Barron gets it. And then the third line gets out there for a shift with Josh Morrissey. And another line where Lowry and Iafallo get in there hard on the forecheck, create the turnover, get it up to Josh Morrissey, who... What a shot.
Laser.
I don't even have the proper descriptive words for what that shot made me feel at the time. Josh Morrissey continues to be him. Unfortunately, the Winnipeg Jets might have to be the Winnipeg Jets without him. Oof. And we'll get into that as the show goes on. Terrifying situation in that one today. Maybe we'll get some news on that, though I doubt it in the postgame. I'll try and watch for some quotes here. Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. But they leave this first, 2-0 or 3-0, because they get that late goal from Kyle Connor, from Mark Scheifele. And this one starts with Ville Heinola starting transition with the pass up the ice, stretching the ice. Dylan Coghlan, who we're going to talk about more today. We've only seen him in 4 games. Poor guy, I don't know if we've talked about him much. Jumps up. Kind of creates the havoc there for Mark Scheifele to get some space to find Kyle Connor, with time and space in the slot. We're taking that guy. We're taking that guy from that spot all day.
There too.
Brings the Jets up to 3-0 heading into the first, and it was one of those periods, especially like you're mentioning. It was a slow start, then they get the bang bang, and then they get the late period goal. That Nashville looked demoralized on the bench. Now, obviously, it's been frustrating for them as well, but definitely saw some signs of it. Though they seem to bounce back from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was in game, which was nice. It didn't take a timeout. It didn't take something. It didn't waste the whole period. Whatever that slow, just kind of, the cobwebs they had to shake out, they were able to do real quick, and start playing their game. It was 3-0 on the scoreboard, but shots were pretty even at the end of the first. Right, it was 12-10. And Nashville, they were still in that game, like at least in terms of their play. Now, once it hit 3-0, that's where you go, okay, the game itself is definitely, you're starting to feel like it's going to be over if you're staring at 3-0 and Connor Hellebuyck on the other side, right? So that had to be creeping into their mind at that point. But yeah, the Jets did a great job of shaking off that those first few minutes where everybody started to grip the couch a little tighter. You could see online even some of the media guys were already dunking on them a little bit real early with that slow start. So yeah, the Jets did a real good job of being able to shake that off and just kind of putting Nashville back into their place with a couple real nice shots between Morrissey and Connor. Both of those were ridiculous shots, just so quick. There's no way a goalie stopping that. And Heinola kind of involved on 2 out of those first 3 goals as well, which was real nice to see that third pair be impactful in a positive way, which the Jets are definitely going to need, all 3 pairs going if Morrissey is going to be missing time.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm clenching for right now is the Josh Morrissey news. This game goes into the second where it kind of slows down. Pretty quiet second period from both teams. Nashville brings this to 3-1 on that power play rip from Philip Forsberg. Talk about a guy, too. We're talking about Kyle Connor. You see him in the slot. You give Philip Forsberg time and space like he had there on a tired unit, he's going to rip pucks all day, even against the best in the world. That pole play, though, starts with a one draw that Logan Stanley doesn't clear. Comes back to bite them, but they make it through the period. And this all without Josh Morrissey, by the way. He came back for one period or one shift in that third before coming down. On Josh Morrissey, he slid into the post, and I don't know what's your thoughts on what that was? Because for me, it's considering that it was nice that he tried to come back, but the fact that he could only skate one shift and then immediately went off, that's concerning for me.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm real worried about, because the fact that he thought maybe I'll still be able to go on this if it's being held up by swelling and a real tight skate, and he goes out there and actually tries it and goes, no, this is bad. That's your sign that this is yeah. I don't want to speculate. I'll see what we're gonna hear from the team, but I'm not optimistic at the moment for a long-term prognosis. I'm getting a Dylan Sandberg feel right now. We might be looking at 8 weeks without Josh Morrissey. Is kind of where I'm at. I said I wouldn't speculate. I'm going to do it anyways. That's kind of where I'm feeling at right now. I'm feeling like we're going to see maybe something broken in that foot or that ankle and a lengthy out for Morrissey, but I hope I'm wrong.
See, my fear always goes to a tear after I tore my own knee up when I was 20. So I'd take a break over a tear. We're hoping it's not much, but we'll see. We'll see if we get any word from the team on that.
Yep.
We go into the third period, and I don't like the start of this third. Connor Hellebuyck, I thought, was making big saves, kind of keeping them around. But then Nashville gives the Winnipeg Jets a penalty power play. And this power play continues to cook. Mark Scheifele wins the draw. All 5 Jets touch the puck in 9 seconds before this puck's in the net. Oof. Mark Scheifele wins it back. Pionk goes to Connor on the wall. Connor goes down to Scheifele. Scheifele goes around the net to Ehlers, who finds Velarde backdoor, if I'm not mistaken, on the sequence of that. The pass from Ehlers backdoor to Velarde was a thing of beauty. Gave Velarde just net front is dangerous wherever you could find him, so getting pucks to him is always a great problem to handle. But Yeah, they go up 4-1 there, and Nashville continues to press. To their credit, they make this a game. Roman Yossi with a blast from the point, and you can't help but laugh. Because for the first time in a while, I felt Logan Stanley played the box out in front proper.
Yeah.
For the first time in a while, we didn't see his ass in front of Connor Hellebuyck's face.
Yep.
And he still
didn't
Roman
matter.
Yossi finds a way to bank it off his skate and in. Then the next shift at a 4-2 hockey game, Jonathan Marchessault dances Stan, and a frustrated Logan Stanley takes a 4-minute penalty, giving the Nashville Predators a 5-on-4 for 4 minutes. And the PK comes up big. Kyle Connor takes one, which apparently I didn't agree with at all. I'm stunned that one was called, but Nashville gets a 5-on-3. And without the Jets' worst PKer on the ice, and the PK unit's been in a lot of trouble lately, massive kill for the Winnipeg Jets on that 5-on-3.
Not just the Jets' worst PKer, I think the statistically worst penalty killer in the National Hockey League by differential, I think is Logan Stanley, right? That was a great example of, you can see it with your eyes right in front of you. Here is how long they had to play without him on the ice on the penalty kill, and look what they were able to accomplish compared to watch the times where he's on the ice with the penalty kill and the puck going in. It's just, on the Yossi bank off of his foot, you just have to feel bad for him off that one. There's nothing he said. He played the box correctly on that spot. That was just terrible luck, and it just kind of capped off what was just it was a bad night for him overall, though. Like, just to kind of get away from that one spot, he was lost again tonight. He was just all over the place. He was not where he should have been. It's real hard to watch him out there struggling so hard to fill a role that he cannot do. And then every once in a while you see the little flare of, hey, look what that play from the from the blue line. Hey, look at that little offensive push there. Wow, maybe they should, utilize him in that aspect. But no, they want him to be this shutdown, penalty killing defensive guy that he can't do. And we keep seeing it. And tonight it was real bad on display. And yeah, I feel bad for him at this point.
Hey, a positive news update over on YouTube. Thank you, Rylan Bazinet. Says JMO is day-to-day as per Arnie postgame.
I'll take day-to-day.
Oh, all day. And he continues to theorize that if you watch the clip, I think he may have strained his knee. I'll take a strain over a tear. My mind always goes to a tear after experiencing myself. Thank you for that follow-up, Rylan. That takes can exhale a little bit after hearing that, because Bolsey had said over on Twitch, and I was agreeing with him here, let's not mince words. If 44 misses any significant time, we are fucked. So that's great news from Rylan. Great news for the Winnipeg Jets. But to tie a bow on just the process, the flow of this game, before we dive into the chat, we open up the phone lines here. The chat's buzzing. There's a lot of things I want to get into here. Connor Hellebuyck. Win number 300, the milestone.
Yep.
And one that he was absolutely dialed into and earned on this night. This is a closer game than a 5-2 hockey game.
Oh, yeah.
You can make a case that Nashville was the better team in this one. This is a close hockey game.
Yep.
And Connor Hellebuyck has us sitting here feeling like it wasn't. It's just the brilliance, man. We're watching something special. I'm happy for him to get that big milestone. He continues to rack up the accolades, and I'm really hoping he gets some of those heart votes to add to the old resume, because he sure is earning it in this season.
Yeah, they touched on it briefly at the end of the broadcast, but like, he's at the top of, almost every statistical category for goalies that matters. The record-setting years that he's had in terms of like the calendar year last year, being the third fastest goalie to hit 300 wins. Like, he's a historic player. This is something we haven't seen in Winnipeg before and probably won't see again for quite a while. And it might not be appreciated in the moment. It may take until after he's gone and we look back before people kind of really realize, league wide, how good and how just incredible he is. A Stanley Cup win from the Winnipeg Jets would definitely bring that case a lot better to the masses and would make sure that he gets the flowers while he can still smell them. So let's make sure that happens this year.
No, absolutely, and I'm sure we'll be discussing on a lot of ways on how to get there. One last note here. Pierogies11 over on Twitch noticed something that I did as well, saying it sounded like the rink was pretty loud even through the TV. Good to see. And this was one of those games we're talking about, like it was a closer game than it appeared, than the score tells us it was. Winnipeg faithful sure were at their best in-house tonight when it came to some of those big moment type plays. You saw them get loud over the penalty kill, rightfully so. Everyone should be hearing that. Every time Connor Hellebuyck made a big save, you heard it through that TV. When Ville Heinola stops Jonathan Marchessault on that one-on-one, the crowd was giving it to Heinola in a positive way with the cheers. The Winnipeg Jets crowd tonight was locked in as well, and that's always great to see.
Yeah, there's nothing more galvanizing than getting pissed off at the refs. So that's it always brings the crowd up and happy and getting on them. So that was good.
And rightfully so, man. The discrepancy today in some of the calls, rightfully so.
Yeah,
rightfully
there were some
so.
bad ones today.
But hey, as we do with this show, we've been rambling for 15, 20 minutes here talking about what we saw in this flow of game, some of the key highlights, some of the key performances. Let's see where the chat wants to go on this night. Who does the chat want to highlight? Mikey, you talked about that third pair. I want to get into a little bit of a discussion with that, with Sandberg now around the corner and skating in a regular jersey. Let's start diving into the chat. So I'm over on YouTube right now, where it starts off today with Matt Hyman at 300 with a big smiley face, and Turk Ferguson says, get to work on that Helly statue any time now. He also adds, Nick, I hope my daughters marry men they love as much as I love Connor Hellebuyck. Is it time to start picking a model of what that statue next to Dale is going to look like?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. We should clear out the space now. I'm ready for it.
All right, to the phones.
Hey, caller. Thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip.
Hey, fellas. It was just Raul phoning. Just some comments on the game today.
Let's go. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. Just thoughts on the game. I thought this was Heinola's best game, I guess, this year. Like, he showed some noticeable jump offensively. And on the other hand, Logan Stanley in the third period straight up, like, imploded. I thought the Jets deserved 4 points tonight for beating both the Preds and the refs. That call on Connor was just ridiculous. And again, with the second line, I know Ehlers had that beauty frickin' play with Ehlers, Scheifele, and Velarde on the power play. But even Kevin Sawyer was kind of saying it in the first intermission that the Jets kind of desperate or kind of need another winger on that second line to help with some offense. And he went on about with like grit and stuff like that. But really, I don't know. I didn't like Perfetti's game tonight again. And Nemestikov is kind of, I think we all know what we think about Nemestikov. And yeah, just those are my thoughts. And I'll hang up and continue listening, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, hard to disagree with what you had to say there. Let's jump into some of that. For me, this was an excellent showing from Ville Heinola on his offside. I really liked him with Dylan Coghlan as well. I thought Dylan Coghlan, for a guy that's only played 4 games, has come in and given you solid minutes in that third pair every time he's been asked to do it on his strong side. He's not someone I felt comfortable with when he got mixed in there with Pionk on his off wing, though I can't say this was Pionk's highlight night either. There's a little too much chaos in his game. Seeing him and Stanley together was a real tough look, but once you had to start rotating through, there was one play in the third when it was 4-2. Ville Heinola has his guy behind the net. It's a one-on-one, nothing dangerous at all is going on. 2 guys are net front, and Pionk falls behind the net, and Preds get a good backdoor chance out of it. But Coghlan and Heinola were 2 guys I really liked. Heinola, I put this in the same bucket as that Minnesota and Toronto game, where I thought he had really found something in those 2 games. He got pulled out of the lineup the next day, and it's been stops and starts since. Haven't loved his last 2 games. I thought this was a great breaking off point, and it shows what he can be when he's with on his strong side in a third pairing role with someone that is not Logan Stanley. It kind of seems to be the common denominator thing going there. I'm going to steal a term from you, Mikey, when describing what Rahul saw from Logan Stanley and the complete meltdown in the third. He threw up all over his skates in that entire third period. And this was someone that was getting top 3 defensive minutes all night. That's an adjustment Scott Arniel is going to have to figure out. This is what I threw on Twitter. This is how I felt tonight watching Logan Stanley. He doesn't clear the puck on the first PK goal against. It goes off his skate to go and make it 4-2. He gets danced by Marchessault, and we just talked about Heinola stopping Marchessault on a one-on-one in open ice, and then takes a ridiculous double minor. I'm going to add to Rahul's point. They should get like 8 points here. It was a divisional rival game, so it's a 4-point game. They beat the Preds. They beat the refs, and they beat Logan Stanley doing whatever he could to blow this thing up.
Yeah, this was
on the second line. Sorry, Mike, I'll jump to you right here. I just was trying to get to everything. Sorry, buddy.
All good.
On the second line, Rahul, we're very much on the same page. Though what I found interesting about the Sawyer thing is, and I do agree with him, I think that group could use some size up the middle, especially in the net front area, to start creating some more space there. He was talking like it was going to be a winger, and then he says at the end they could use a big center for Perfetti and Ehlers. Continuing to try and make a second line work with Perfetti and Ehlers, who are 2 players that will never work out together, is so frustrating. The second line, I just have zero confidence that they find answers.
Yeah, I don't know how we can keep that as a quote unquote second line, with the production that we get from it. It's not working in terms of being able to maximize those guys. So that's something that has to change. They need to make some type of adjustment there. Perfetti's not having a great stretch right now. It's not going his way. Ehlers is having to carry both of them around. Nemestikov gets chances out front, almost every game now that just he can't bury because it's not what he's good for, right? That's not what his skill set is. So it's tough. They need to upgrade in those spots, either by changing up the lineup or by bringing in some talent, and we'll have to see which one ends up happening.
As I will continue to hammer home, that 91, 7, and 27 line is the worst line in hockey, statistically, has been all year. As Bolsey puts it, they are a hot mess. The one play that stands out to me that they made here in the third period, because I thought they were dreadful in the first 40. You could trust them in the third compared to the first 40. The one play that stands up, Cole Perfetti creates that turnover in the center of the ice, finds Ehlers on the wall, who finds Vlad backdoor, who's not going to bury. That was about it for me. Again, missed the first half of this one, but that's the only positive I saw out of that group. And it's been a problem. And it's we always arrive back. We've seen the same group for 42 games. We know where the problems are. We know where the good is. Today was an obvious example of just how bad it can be.
Yep. You ready for your next call?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Hey, caller, thank you for holding. You're on the landing strip now. What'd you like to talk about?
Hey, boys. It's King Canadian. How you guys been doing? I've been talking to you in a long time.
Welcome back, King Canadian. How you doing?
Not too bad. Just been busy with work and holidays. I've missed you guys' the show for like a month, so I got a few thoughts here. Not too long, but a couple different things to think about.
All right, let's see where we're thinking about here tonight.
So some of these date back like a month and a half. So the first thing I got wrote down here on my phone is DeMello contract going to hurt in a few years, maybe even hurting right now. Play, and especially at the dollar figure he signed at.
Mm-hmm. No, he's had a tough year. That Morrissey DeMello pair, I think's come around a bit, but it hasn't been Dylan DeMello's best first half of his NHL career. There's no denying that one.
Next thing I wrote down here is the third line sucks. And now I've in brackets. It's been a bit better with Ifollow, but that third line gets talked about like it's the greatest thing that's ever been blessed on ice. And with Appleton there, it simply just hasn't been that great, to be honest with you.
Hey, he's been gone for a couple of weeks. Let's keep these prevalent here, King Canadian. I'll say this. I've liked Ifollow on the Lowry and Nino line. I have liked Ifollow there.
Yeah, I like him better on that spot than Appleton. I'd be keeping him in that place even when Appleton's healthy, to be honest.
A couple more recent thoughts I've had. One, if you can sign Kyle Connor to $10 million at how he's playing right now and guarantee you get this Kyle Connor, would you do it? Is $10 million too little? Am I shorting what he's going to get? I feel like on the open market he gets more, but if you can get him signed, it's probably around 10, 10.5. Maybe I'm way out on that.
That number seems to make sense to me because if you look at the best comparable, I think it's Jake Gensel, who just got 7 years, $9 million per in Tampa. You know, the taxes will play in. I think Kyle Connor will be the Winnipeg Jets' first $10 million player. I think they'll try and get that done this summer. And I've been talking this last month, so I know you've missed it. This is the best version of Kyle Connor we have seen. This is the version I've been waiting to see from this guy that everyone's talked about. And it's one of those things, they're going to have to do it. This team's competing. If you can get this level of play from him for half that contract, that's huge. And it's one of those things that we know that the defensive game's not great, but he's still going to score into his career. I imagine they're going to do it. We'll see what happens around it, but I imagine that's what's coming.
Just one last thought here. Something I've been thinking about for a while. I was all on for signing Perfetti long term. I really wanted 8 years. Perfetti, and I know it's an Ehlers Perfetti thing, but I don't see where Perfetti fits necessarily on this team right now. We're in win now mode. I wonder, can he get a top 4D by himself, and what would be needed to add to him to bring in, a good 2C? Does he straight up for Brock Nelson? Is that something that, the Islanders would think about? We're in a win now mode. Perfetti isn't helping us win now, unfortunately.
Okay, so on that, would not do the Perfetti for Brock Nelson. Heads up, just from an asset standpoint, Brock Nelson is a pending UFA. So you could probably get him for actually less than a Cole Perfetti is worth on the trade market. As for using him to acquire a piece, I'm all for it. If you're getting a top 2C, like a top 6 center with term, or a top 4 right-handed D with term, I think those are the type of spots, if you're going to trade a Cole Perfetti, you need to get someone that's going to fill those roles, and we're not back here this time next summer or this time next winter talking about we need to fill one of those holes again. Because if you trade a long-term 23-year-old NHL, or depending on where you have his ceiling at here, clearly the range is different for everybody. It's still an asset and a playable asset. So as long as, I'd trade anybody, quite frankly, on the Winnipeg Jets or in their prospect pool or their draft picks to win a cup. The big thing you got to do if you're trading a Cole Perfetti is get a top 6 C with term or a top 4 right-handed D with term and make sure you're addressing one of those holes moving forward. That's my big thing there. No rentals using a player like that. Top-end player with term.
I agree. I threw Brock Nelson's name out there, as I know that's one guy that people are talking about. I didn't know what his contract is. I don't actually know what top 6 guys or centers, that are actually truly available. I know Pedersen's been thrown around, and that would be, the dream, but that's never going to happen. I don't know what guys are realistic for us. But yeah, I hope you boys have a good night. And last thing, Helly for Hart.
Hey, thanks for the call, man. Love talking to you, and you have yourself a great night too.
Hey, caller. Thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. Go ahead.
I was just listening to the Perfetti chatter. You got to get someone in there. What about even Josh Anderson? What's a guy like that coming in, playing with Ehlers on the right wing, streaky, fast? That's another guy you can bring in. What do you think of Anderson?
I gotta say, Pierogies, I'm not a big Josh Anderson guy. I like the speed. I like where you're going with it there. Josh Anderson, for me, is one of the most frustrating NHL players to watch. I think he's more hype than what he provides. I'd look elsewhere.
How about Zegras and a package? That was the other guy I had.
Who is the second one there? Sorry.
Let's say you trade Perfetti and something for Zegras. Bring in more skill and get the Michigan going local.
The one thing I will say, I do think this team does need some size and ability to get to the net front. I think it's lacking big time when this team's trying to score goals when games get tighter, and I just don't think Zegras fits it.
Have a great night.
Hey, you too, Pierogi. Thanks for the call, man. The phone lines are buzzing, And I'm looking over at the YouTube chat and the very recent comment. Phil, it's good to see you. Names, again, my tiers. EP40, it's never happening. There's number one. My number 2 tier, Mackenzie Weegar. Phyllis throws that one out there. Weegar would be good. And there's a player I'd gladly trade someone like 91 in a deal to acquire a defenseman of that caliber moving into the future on a $6.15 million deal.
Absolutely, yep. Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. Go ahead. All right, that's okay. So we've talked a lot about which defenseman we would like to see kind of fill that spot. We haven't. Oh, here we go. Maybe they're back.
Hello?
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Perfect. There we go. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of jump in on this Cole Perfetti stuff. I know that he's not having the good season. I know a lot of people will say that him and playing with Ehlers is, they're both guys that want to dish the puck to dangerous areas, even though you could kind of consider Ehlers a shooter nowadays. But, I think CP does lack that speed in the NHL to really put himself into spots where he can be dangerous passing the puck. But with that said, going back to the trade chatter, a player that I don't know if would be available, but kind of going back to what Nick said about size and getting to the net, he's not a centerman, but he has played center here and there. But Alex Tuck, he's got 2 more years at 4 and some change. He's 27 years old, so he kind of fits your window. Trading Perfetti with a first and maybe another prospect, I don't know. I know that sounds kind of hefty, but you got to realize that, Tuck's been putting up 50 to 60 points playing on the second line consistently. He's a big guy. He's very good defensively. His offensive metrics are good. He's got term, and he's probably going to be looking for a big ticket. I don't think the Jets make the trade unless they know Tuck's willing to stay long term. And that would kind of, maneuver a few pieces for you and solve some issues going into the future. Looking at the Jets prospect pool now going up, Barlow not looking great. Lambert is having an off season. So where are these guys going to be in a couple years? We need some more established guys that are going to be in their mid-20s to late 20s to kind of fit in with that Connor and that Scheifele and Velarde, and hopefully they keep Ehlers around for that as well. So I don't know what you guys would think about that exactly.
I absolutely love Alex Tuck. So when the last caller mentioned Josh Anderson and thinking of a quicker forward, this is the mold I'd be looking at. I'm a big Alex Tuck guy, and I will say this. I am under the belief. I believe Buffalo was listening to him last year. They weren't willing to do it, and I believe the Winnipeg Jets, before getting to Foley, were investigating that. Do I know for 100% true? I don't, but that's what's been told to me last year at the week of the deadline. If Tuck became available, love him. It's not a center, but talk about another driving winger that this team could add to the top 6. You might have to use your centers a little differently, or you might have to go spend on a rental center that maybe is a 3C instead of a top 6 to try and get some more depth there. I love Alex Tuck. Love him.
Yeah.
Love him.
The thing is he has played center though. There's been a few games this year where he's playing the middle. He looks a little awkward, but I think if you give him a string of games where he's playing with Ehlers and whoever else, I think he would find chemistry there. You do it once, you kind of figure it out. So, I understand it's the hardest position to play in hockey next to goalie, but I have faith that when you're playing with Ehlers and I don't know, some combination of Niederreiter and I'm trying to think who else would be, maybe Lambert if they call him up because you're going to be losing Perfetti. But either way, that would be my best thing. I think that's the thing they need the most, even though that with JMO now down for a little bit, I think that the forward push is the bigger play because you guys, I think today really highlighted that you do have players in Coghlan and Heinola that can play. You're a little more concreted in your depth defenseman, but you need some more high-end forwards to get that second line running because if L1's not going, the shakeups haven't really sparked anything. So I'd rather have L1 produce 70 out of, every 70 games, 70% out of the 30, and then, have L2 have that influx of spark with another player. So other than that, I'll hop off and let you guys keep talking.
Hey, appreciate the call. You still on the line? What was your name there? Didn't catch it.
Nope, it jumped off. But if you're in the chat on either one, Twitch or YouTube, please just let us know because we missed it at the very top there.
No, I appreciate that call. Great call. Great idea. I'm all aboard the Alex Tuck train. Love that idea here. And I see, Mikey, you might have an answer for this. Past my mind here. In Ehlers We Trust says, can you take a call from BC Collect? LOL.
Who knows? We could try.
Yeah, give it a try. Let's find out. I'm going to keep diving in here and find our next jumping off point here. Nice to get a few calls in a row there. Nice to hear from y'all. Let's go here. Mikey, anything top of mind for you off the bat?
So we've spent a good time talking about the defenseman we would like to see kind of brought in. We haven't talked too much about which centers out there would be kind of most ideal if we're trying to find somebody that's not just a rental. We've EP40 obviously is the dream, but in the more realistic realm of things, who are the guys that you as we're starting to get a little bit closer now to deadline season, do you have any names that have started to jump out at you?
Okay, so Sarah Valley had done a trade bid board today, and one name I like doesn't totally fit my checkbox, which is going to be funny after I just highlighted what I was saying. But number 2 on his list is a player I've always liked. He's got a Stanley Cup pedigree, knows how to play playoff hockey despite the size of him, and that's Yanni Gourde out of Seattle. I think would be a really interesting player in this mix. Again, you might have to look at this lineup differently, and the Winnipeg Jets have not shown they're willing to. But if you bring in a quality player like that, who's clearly a top 9 center, could play the wing, has been there before, has won that cup, was a key piece of that cup-winning team in Tampa, I think there's value there. Now, it doesn't give you the size element, so maybe you go Lowry 2C, Gourde 3C, and you're trying to mix up those groups a little bit. I don't know, but that was another name that kind of stood out there on the rental market. I don't imagine he'd be expensive. There's been a lot of talk in the chat. I can't even credit everybody after watching Ryan O'Reilly tonight. $4.5 million. Obviously, Nashville's in quite the pickle. Contract runs a little longer than you want, but we do know this team's window is the next 2 years. Probably their best shot at it being this year with the contracts they have expiring.
Yep.
Those are a couple names. Anyone standing out to you?
If we're not going to stick to the rental market, we've talked a lot about Brock Nelson being a nice option for a rental. You won't have to break the bank. You don't have to give up one of the big names off of the roster right now to add him up there. And I think he fits the size element. I think he fits the style that they want to play and gives them the option to kind of swap between Lowry and Nelson depending on wingers, depending on matchups, those type of things. So on a rental type look, that's still kind of one that I'd really like to see. But I wonder what the bidding is going to kind of be like as we get closer to the deadline if other teams, because that checks off the boxes for a lot of teams, right? And the Jets aren't going to get into a bidding war for a rental. That's just not their style. So it's probably going to be somebody that's completely out of left field that we're not thinking of yet. But that's the model that I'm trying to find.
Okay, no, that makes some sense too. I see the Twitch chat has a name that I do really like if you want to add an offensive punch into this top 6. Jared McCann out of Seattle.
Ooh,
there's one I do like. There is another name I do like. Shout out to Big Papa, Choices, Bullsy, Sill mentioned it. Shout out to you guys. I'm in on that as well.
What is his contract?
I will say this. I see Big Papa says Cousins would be incredible. I'm a little cautious with Dylan Cousins. I gotta admit, I have some concerns there. I think Dylan Cousins publicly is getting a bit of the, well, Eichel and Reinhart excelled out of Buffalo, so everyone else is gonna. Dylan Cousins is not performing nearly at the level those guys have if you look at his underlying metrics. And what really worries me about him, $7.1 million if you're not right about the player. And there's been a lot, like Ray Ferraro's not someone that goes really, really hard at players unless he knows. And his wife and his brother both worked in Buffalo. And a couple weeks ago on Ray and Dregs, he went off on Dylan Cousins at a level I've never seen about the player and his personality, that there's a lot of red flags there for me that I would not be comfortable with making the Dylan Cousins bet.
Yeah, that would have to come at an incredible value if you're going to be taking the big bet on Cousins. I was kind of pro taking the shot at it. I kind of liked the idea of, if that pays off in our favor, then we've nailed it, and that kind of puts to bed having to worry about this for quite a while. But yeah, if there's going to be that many big questions about the character and the personality and stuff, that does make me kind of start to be hesitant. I just pulled up Jared McCann. He's got next season and one more after this year at $5 million, with total, with the actual salary slightly less in real money. So we know the Jets like that.
Talk about a player that becomes a Nick Ehlers hedge too. If Nick Ehlers walks out the door and you want to keep this going at a cheaper rate than what Nick Ehlers is currently paid, I like the Jared McCann idea a lot. Yeah,
that's exactly the type of player they should be high on their list, because he fits all the pieces that they want in terms of play style, in terms of production, and in terms of, hey, the contract works and we don't have to pay him as much.
Shout out Rylan Bazinet. That was Rylan on the call. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Where else should we go with this one? Dante Violet says Cousins, Tuck, and Power for Mikey's one-stop shopping needs. I don't know if we have the assets to pull off quite that haul, but if there was a EA Sports trade to make, I'm in. Frosty Winnipeg says Nashville is decent. With those Stanley Cup winners on the team, they would be a dark horse. If that is a team that can get in, I agree with that idea of them being a dark horse. I was much lower on Nashville than public was, just because you don't see teams that go out and spend $1 billion on 35-plus-year-olds ever work out. And the thing with Nashville last year was they were just such a hard competitive team. They were so annoying to play against, and they had Forsberg, Yossi, and Saros that are difference makers. If that team gets in, they still do have those difference makers. They could be a dark horse. I like that take from Frosty. They give the Jets fits tonight.
Absolutely. It was closer than the scoreboard showed for a good chunk of the game, just because they had that high-end talent and the guys who can change it up. Pardon me. How do you feel? How do you feel about Ryan O'Reilly as an option out there?
Like him as an option in the sense of where we're at right now today. I kind of hate taking on the extra. Like, I think there's 3 years left on that deal, so I hate the third year. If it was like this year next, I don't mind it. But again, like, this window is so long that at some point there's going to have to be a bet probably that you're uncomfortable with somewhere to get something now. So I think I'd be fine with it. He signed for $4.5 million for the next few years. Your centers are pretty much set at that point for the next few years. You just hope at his age, with the miles on his body, this play style he has, that he doesn't fall off a cliff next year and you're stuck for 2 years. Like, that's the one concern there. He's a player I would have preferred as a rental almost, in a sense.
Yeah, but you've got the extra year, then you'd have to still deal with that 4.5.
Yeah. And it's manageable. I mean 4.5 in today's NHL isn't an unmanageable
with the cap going up quite
either.
a bit, right? Cap going up quite a bit. Buying that out doesn't really hurt you all that much in the end if you have to.
Yeah, if Trotz wants to send Ryan O'Reilly up to Winnipeg, you're not going to hear me complain much about that. That's just my one concern. I'm kind of getting out there.
Yeah.
Such 40 says Nelson is going to cost at least a first due to the lack of available Cs. I definitely agree. And did we realize Brock Nelson hasn't scored in 17 games? What's going on there?
No, I have not actually. Although, to be fair, the Islanders overall stink, so it's hard to kind of put it directly on them. But yeah, I haven't kept up too closely the last month on them.
Yeah, the Isles just haven't been a fun team to pay attention to. Sill says, any chance Buffalo moves Power now that they have Byram? I imagine something's going to happen there and something's going to give. They've already spent all that money on Dahlin. They gave Power the big deal. And Byram was going into his ARB levels. So I imagine they're going to have to pick. Plus, they gave Matthias Samuelsson like 6 years on the left side as well. So I imagine one of those D is going to become available by no later than the draft, if not by the deadline. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, that's a guy that, again, no trade protections or anything you have to worry about. So if you can strike up a deal with them, you don't have to worry about he doesn't want to go to Winnipeg. And that would be a great way to kind of shore up that hole.
Um, Rahul asks, Nick, do you think Seattle moves Jared McCann? Honestly, don't know. Like, he's been one of those players. At one point, it sounded like he was available. Then they gave him the long deal. Last year wasn't going so well, so there was talks of it. Then there wasn't. I'm not sure on Jared McCann, but if he was, that's the name I'm really intrigued by. Caleb over on YouTube has some complaints with the premium lounge. He was not happy with the Ticketmaster lounge today. Free popcorn and blue tinted lights does not make a premium lounge.
We'll make sure we run that up the flagpole.
Yeah, I'll send it in. I'll send it in. They're listening to it here now.
That's
They're
right.
listening to it here. Phyllis says, I'd take Montour on our decor in a heartbeat. He had 13 minutes of ice time in one period for Seattle. He's a total workhorse, and he has a Stanley Cup pedigree for Florida. Obviously would love to get a guy like that, but after giving him a fresh new long-term contract this summer, I would be really, really surprised to see Seattle willing to trade him.
Yeah,
Would
he
be
seems
my
to be a
concern
big
there.
part of their core now going forward, even just from like an off-ice standpoint. So, yeah. He'd be a good ad, though. He'd be, a great ad.
Mikey, I'm going to pitch this question for you. Max of Silence back. Good to see you, Max.
Welcome back. man.
I miss watching games when is this team going to get a clue? So for those that aren't aware, Max is taking one for the team and not watching this team until Logan Stanley is no longer playing. And I'm sorry, Max. I wouldn't expect to watch hockey this year at this point.
Yeah, no, you will not be enjoying the Winnipeg Jets this season. Unfortunately, he's locked in. He was your left side D1 today. So there you go, Max. There's your update. Today was his big break.
So Max also says, where was it here? Power is overpriced. You should want to find more bargain bin-ish players. And I'm gonna push Max a little bit because we normally agree on a lot of stuff. I think he's overpaid right now. But this is I'm pretty big on his future, and I think Buffalo made a good bet there. That I'm okay with having Sandberg, Power, and Morrissey for the foreseeable future. Yeah, that reminds me of the old Tampa left side, and they did pretty well. That's kind of my pushback there for old Max.
Power signed long term. He's 22 years old. That contract is going to age extremely well for the team. With the cap going up to the heights that it is over the next few years. So I think that's it's always a gamble, right? There's no crystal ball. We can't automatically know, but that's one that I will happily take the risk on. I'll roll those dice all day.
This is interesting, and I think in an ideal world, and this is where the trade stuff comes in, I think. Harjivan Parwana says, we should give Cole Perfetti a run at center. We have nothing to lose and need to get a better idea of what his ceiling is. And I would normally be all in on what Harjivan is saying here as far as Cole Perfetti and playing him up the middle. But with the Winnipeg Jets in first place in their division and trying to win a cup, they just don't have time for those experiments, and I'm frustrated by it too. It's just they've shown no signs that they're going to go there, and I think you're going to see that potentially for him if he were to get traded out and get an opportunity for his career up the middle. I just don't see it coming here.
Yeah, if they were going to try it, they would have already when Scheifele was hurt, when Nemestikov was hurt, and both were playing. When you had Scheifele not taking faceoffs, when you had Velarde stepping in, you had all these, spots where centers were not available or not playing well or playing hurt, and not once did they give him a look in any of those places. I think they've fully decided that he's a winger. I actually, though, agree with the commenter. I would have liked to have seen Perfetti get more of a run playing center with some wingers that would have, maybe complemented, and to see if they could have played a third line type of game. But it just, it's not in their plans. It doesn't look like. And yeah, if he's part of a package that brings in a big name, whether it's on the back end or up front, I bet you'll see him get that chance at center somewhere else. And we'll get to see if it works out or not.
Yeah, no, I agree there. I agree. Adam Douglas throws out Rasmus Ristolainen, who we know this org has targeted in the past. It wasn't too long ago. We were talking about Ehlers to Buffalo in a Rasmus Ristolainen deal, which would have been terrifying back then. He has seemed to figure something out in Philly, though I'd still be nervous about that.
Yeah.
There's a name I could see the Winnipeg Jets trading for. He's got one more year at $5 million.
Yep.
There's an Adam Douglas identifies the name. He brings the size element. He's having a legitimately good season. I just worry about the history. And is it just he's getting propped up in Philly? It's one concern there.
That's one that screams to me, beware the magical season. That's just
that
one just screams like this is don't bet on that, but we'll see.
But it also does
their
scream
type of
Winnipeg
guy.
Jets.
It does. That's exactly their type of move. That's their type of guy. So I could see it. Frosty Winnipeg hits one for me that I'd love, but probably won't see happening. But they say I just want to rescue Boone and Werenski from Columbus. And absolutely. That would be the one-stop shop I'd be very happy to see. I'd have a Werenski jersey so fast.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Can't complain about that one. Frosty is cooking tonight when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Ehlers We Trust asks, how about Mika Zibanejad, which is a hard no for me. At his peak, you're basically acquiring another Mark Scheifele, where it's all offense, no D. And we're nowhere near his peak at this point in time. Mika has been one of the worst players in the NHL this year. He's getting paid significant amount of money moving forward. A lot of talk out of New York, and I mean, I've listened to his music, that he's more interested in his DJing career. Shout out Mika with the DJing. I would just avoid that one like the plague, personally.
Yeah,
I think
I'm with you on that. That's a
As
pass
Turd
for
says.
me. Big Papa over on Twitch says Parayko top line with 44 is something that wouldn't shock me, but they don't like it. How would you feel about Parayko coming in?
I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm more intrigued than a lot of people in this one. That contract's this is a risk. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me saying the Winnipeg Jets should make Colton Parayko the number one target. The injuries in the back scare me. The term on the contract scares me. But there's still juicing Parayko's game, and I do think stylistically, what I've seen in Colton Parayko in my limited viewings, I do think he would be a great partner for Josh Morrissey on a run. I really do.
Yeah, that's I'm kind of weirdly with you on that one. I wouldn't hate to see them try that out. And I don't think it would cost you. I don't think you have to break the bank to bring him in.
Yeah, a couple here from Gilbert Marion, and then I'm gonna break my buddy Sill's heart here a little bit. Where was it here? Gilbert Marion said Anderson from Calgary is the perfect fit. He makes a lot less than Uyghur. I mean, it's only $2 million difference, and you're getting a longer term with Uyghur. So I'm not, but. I mean, Anderson's contract fits in nice for the next 2 years, so I'd be open to that. Either one of the Calgary D I'm in on.
Either one is great.
100%. Sill says, is there any chance Miller would waive his trade protection to come here? That's the type of playoff performer you need. I'm going to go on a little tangent on JT Miller because no one else in hockey media seems to want to, and everyone else is looking at this in a completely different way than I am. All JT Miller is Mark Scheifele with an attitude problem. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that could lose you games as a centerman in this league when he's not engaged? It's JT Miller. I do not want another Blake Wheeler coming into this dressing room out of nowhere because he got ran out in Vancouver for the next bunch of years and having to deal with that problem. No. Oh, no. And he would never come to Winnipeg anyways. He would never waive. It's a non-story, but the JT Miller stuff has got to settle the fuck down, narrative-wise. It is absolute. No one's more overrated publicly right now than him.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. Like you said, he's Mark Scheifele.
But an extremely flawed player.
With a little extra attitude attached. And in the past, when he's been kind of up on the trade block, he's publicly said he's not waiving to go to another Canadian team. So, and it's a non-starter, I think, for Winnipeg, which is kind of a good thing because I feel like, again, that's another type of guy they probably would have been interested in if he publicly said, yeah, I would waive to go there. But I don't see it. I don't see him waiving. That's not the ad I'd probably be looking at either. If I'm calling Vancouver, it's for one name and one name only, and I'm focusing on that big name if it's, if there's any light in that tunnel, but.
Yes, absolutely. He has one good, one bad, one bad. Who am I looking at here? Oh, there's a discussion about Jake Wallman going in. Jake Wallman would be a real nice under the radar ad. I see over on Twitch. There's a back and forth going on here. Fat Tony compares Jake Wallman to the DeMello trade from years ago. Don't hate that idea.
Yeah.
And Big Papa. Let's stick on the Vancouver stuff, and then we're done with the Vancouver stuff. Big Papa says trading a 100-point, 26-year-old franchise onesie, though he's only hit 100 points once, and I'm wondering about that wrist.
He's done it.
To keep JT Miller is a choice. It is absolutely insane to me that we have a multi-billion-dollar company in the Vancouver Canucks whose entire future and present is in the hands of JT Miller, an $8 million employee, because of no move clauses. Like, that is bizarre. When are organizations going to learn not to hand out these clauses? Now, it sounds like they're going to get out of Miller and keep Petey based on the reporting this week in Vancouver. But at some point, we got to get some brains in these front offices with some of these clauses handed out. That entire org could be hooped if Miller just decides to say, no, trade Petey.
It's not.
How do you operate a business like that?
Yeah. Hey, that's the thing, though, right? They agree to them. They agree to give them out. You know, they're not held at gunpoint. Nobody's forcing them to take them. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to. The team agrees to hand out these no trade clauses. I think the bigger issue with the Canucks is the fact that there's, no separation between ownership and hockey operations, and far too often you get ownership meddling in hockey ops and doing things that don't make a whole lot of sense, and then you end up in these type of weird spots where you're going to trade your whole future for a guy who's pretty good but is not anywhere in the same level of value to your franchise, both on the ice and off. It's bananas, but c'est la vie, and hopefully, I would like to be the team that gets to capitalize on that if possible.
Yeah, no, exactly. Let's go into the 3 stars and get out of here. We could be talking about fantasy trades all day, and we still got 2 months of gearing that kind of talk up, so we can't spread our whole load right now.
Gross.
Let's
all
get
right.
into the 3 star. Let's get into the 3 stars and get out of here. I got to get back into the books.
That's right. All right, you starting? Am I starting?
You start this one off, buddy.
All right. I'm going to go with a purely Homer, rosy glasses. This is just for me. I'm giving it to Ville Heinola. He gets my 3rd star for tonight. I thought this was his best kind of complete game overall. I thought he was good defensively. I thought he was good offensively. He moved the puck well. He didn't look like he was in trouble. From the eye test, it looked great. And then when you pull up the numbers, he, it was a positive impact on the ice every time he was out there. So that's definitely my my 3rd star. Number 2, I'm going to go with assistant coach Dean Chenoweth. I'm probably saying the name wrong. I've heard it on the broadcast, and I keep forgetting how they said it. So, but on a night where the penalty kill went, 6 for 7? With a couple, crazy kills. Power play got their only opportunity, and they knocked that one in. I want to keep shouting out how different they performed this year compared to last year by changing that system when a lot of the actors are the same guys. So I hope it doesn't get lost in the shuffle at how good the special teams have been for the Jets and how they've carried them. So, and number 1 star, give me Connor Hellebuyck, another record-setting night. It was incredible to see him. 300 wins, top of the table in pretty much every other stat. So give me Hellboy at number 1.
Yeah, no, great spots there. Great spots there. Before I get into my 3 stars, I'm going to give an honorary mention. I'm going to give an honorary mention to the scouting staff that has still delivered the goods of allowing us to watch Logan Stanley on a nightly basis and get some laughs in the game. Sometimes you need to laugh at the entertainment that you're watching. 3rd star, I'm going to give it to, you know what? You went to Heinola. I'm going to go Coghlan. I think the 3rd pair, both guys deserve a bit of a shout out on this night. Really liked what I saw from that group, especially 2 guys that Heinola is getting stopped and started, and Coghlan hasn't played at all. I liked what I saw from them in a pretty tough game tonight. Second star, I'm going to go for... Who do I want to go, Mikey? I didn't even think about my stars before throwing this up. Let's go.
Catches you by
Can't
surprise.
do him. He left. Let's go with... Let's give the fourth line a shout out today.
Hell yeah.
Morgan Barron beats a goalie again.
Yep.
After getting to the net, after David Gustafson gets on the forecheck and Rasmus Kampari handles the net front. Let's give an honorary fourth line second star tonight as they got on the score sheet in this one.
Hell yeah.
And then the GOAT, the best player to play in Winnipeg, the future Hall of Famer, win number 300. Connor Hellebuyck will be number 1. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today, for being a part of the chat. This was a ton of fun seeing all you in here, all the calls, all the different feedback. We'll be back in a couple nights.
You guys all know the drill. Tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Get on there, rate, review, and remember, it's the landing strip for your Winnipeg Jets post-game show.